The stage lights dim, and for a moment, the arena falls into a hush so deep you can almost hear the air trembling. A single spotlight cuts through the darkness. At 58 years old, Keith Urban steps forward, guitar in hand, smiling the same boyish smile fans have known for decades. But look closer. There's something different in his eyes. Something heavier. Something earned. And tonight, as the first chord echoes through the crowd, you can't help but wonder, what did it cost him to still be standing here? For years, Keith Urban was the unstoppable force of country music. The awards, the sold-out tours, the unmistakable guitar riffs that could make an entire stadium feel like a small-town bar. He was the guy who made it look easy. But behind that easy grin was a story far more fragile than most people realized. Rewind to a younger Keith, a kid from Australia, with a dream too big for the room he was standing in. He practiced until his fingers burned, chasing a sound that lived somewhere between rock and country, somewhere between rebellion and redemption. Nashville didn't hand him a crown, it tested him. Record deals faltered, doubts crept in. The industry can be cold when you're the new guy with an accent and a different style. And there were nights when applause felt very far away. But he fought through it. Slowly, the songs connected. Somebody Like You? Blue Ain't Your Color. Each hit wasn't just a chart topper, it was proof that he belonged. Fans saw the confidence, the swagger. What they didn't always see was the battle behind closed doors. Fame amplifies everything, the highs and the lows. For Keith, the lows were quiet but powerful. The pressure to stay on top, the constant motion, the fear of not being enough once the lights shut off. In interviews, he'd speak candidly about addiction and recovery, about confronting parts of himself he once tried to outrun. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't easy, but it was honest. And then there was love. When he married Nicole Kidman, the world watched. Two stars, two worlds colliding, two outsiders. It looked like a fairy tale. But fairy tales don't show the work. They don't show the vulnerable conversations at 2 a.m., the hard truths spoken softly in kitchens after long tours. Keith would later admit that early in their marriage, he had to face himself fully, not as a rock star, but as a husband. Not as an idol, but as a flawed human being. At 58, that journey is written subtly across his face, not in wrinkles, but in depth, in gratitude, in the way he pauses before thanking his family on stage. Recently, during a live performance, cameras caught a moment that left fans speechless. Mid-song, his voice wavered. Just slightly. He stepped back from the mic, eyes glistening. The crowd thought it was emotion from the lyrics. Maybe it was, or maybe it was something deeper, a realization of how far he's come, and how close he once came to losing it all. Because here's the truth about longevity in the music industry. It's rare. It demands reinvention. It demands resilience. And it demands sacrifice. Friends fade. Privacy disappears. Every mistake becomes a headline. Yet Keith Urban is still here. Still selling out arenas. Still chasing that perfect note like the young boy who first picked up a guitar. But something has shifted. In recent interviews, there's a softness when he talks about time, about being present, about watching his daughters grow up, and realizing that no encore is more important than that. You hear it in his newer music too, less about proving something, more about feeling something. So what happened to Keith Urban at 58? He didn't fall apart, he didn't fade away. He evolved. He became the man behind the myth. There's a quiet strength in that, the strength to admit past struggles, the strength to keep showing up, the strength to choose family over ego, health over chaos, authenticity over image. And maybe that's why that recent onstage moment hit so hard. It wasn't weakness. It was clarity. Imagine standing in front of thousands of people and realizing that the greatest victory isn't the applause, it's survival, it's growth, it's waking up grateful for another day to play the music you love. Fans who have followed him for decades say they see it now, a deeper connection. A performer who isn't trying to outrun anything anymore. He's grounded, present, unafraid to let the world see the cracks that made him stronger. And maybe that's the emotional twist no one expected. Not tragedy, not scandal, but transformation. In a culture obsessed with youth, Keith Urban, at 58, is proof that aging isn't decline, it's refinement. Its scars turned into stories. Its pain turned into melody. It's a man who once stood on shaky ground, now standing steady. Guitar slung over his shoulder, heart wide open. The spotlight fades at the end of the show. The crowd roars, one last time. He waves, steps back into the shadows, and the arena lights rise. For the fans, it's the end of a concert. For Keith, it's another chapter written. So the next time you see him smile under those lights, ask yourself, what battles did it take to keep that smile real? What storms did he weather so the music could keep playing? Because sometimes, the most powerful comeback isn't loud. It's quiet, It's steady. It's a man at 58, still standing, still singing, not because he has to, but because he chooses to.